Hey everyone, welcome to the Manufacturing Stream podcast presented by L2L. I'm your host, Eric Whitley, and really excited about today's episode because we just got done doing a webinar about communication with Joe Resko, Vice President of Operations at Worthington Enterprises. It's a great interview. I really want you to hear it. That's why we're turning it into a podcast this week, because it's just good stuff. A lot of good knowledge on how they're handling and how Worthington is handling communications, how they're using a connected worker platform in L2L to handle that communication, and all the good things that are going on inside of Worthington, and some great insight about how a VP of Ops kind of sets the tone and the philosophy for handling communications in multiple plants and with a large organization. So stick around. This is going to be a great interview. You're going to love it. Also, hey, listen, go to L2L.com. If you didn't hear, we have some really exciting news. L2L has acquired Swipe Guide, and some great technology is coming in from Swipe Guide into L2L, and some great people along with that. L2L is by far the best connected worker platform out there on the market today. And so you should go check that out at L2L.com. Book a demo. We'll show you all the cool things that are going on. Before I get into the interview with Joe, I want to talk a little bit about the IMTS show. We were there last week. It was phenomenal. It was great. A lot of great people, a lot of great companies, and some amazing insight into the future of manufacturing. And what I mean by that is that if you haven't been to the IMTS show, they have a student section where they bring in what they call a student summit, and they bring in all of these students to come in and look at manufacturing. And I made a post about this because it was amazing to watch how interested these kids were in to robots and VR and AI and all of the latest technology. And my thought is that what's going to happen is that these are going to be the engineers in 10 years. And so they're going to be the ones implementing this technology. They're seeing this technology now. They're going to be implementing it into manufacturing. So a really good insight into where manufacturing is going and what's going to be happening from there. So yeah, really cool stuff. If you haven't been to the IMTS show, put it on your calendar for 2026, because it was really great. Met a lot of great people there, had a lot of fun, a lot of great conversations. And so looking forward just to going back and to, kind of enriching those relationships with inside of manufacturing. That's the one thing that I think that the pandemic has done for us, is that it kind of got away from the fact that we were all talking to each other and visiting plants and do all that stuff. We need to get back into that. My presentation went great. I am going to do a podcast on that presentation, probably here in the next couple of weeks, on how AI really is helping with the continuous improvement process. And so I'll bring that up as a topic. But today I want to bring you this interview with Joe Resko. Really, really cool stuff. So let's get on with it and bring in Joe. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Excited for today's discussion and kind of this continuing thought process on the report that we put out here at the end of the, I think, first quarter is, or maybe kind of into the second quarter. We put out a report called What's Holding Manufacturers Back in 2024, where we went in and did a deep dive in and interviewed a bunch of manufacturing folks. I'm excited to have our guests in here today, and I'll introduce Joe here in a second. I do want to talk about a couple of things before we go. I want to talk a little bit about, if you haven't heard, some exciting news that's come out of L2L here in the last, just in the last few weeks, is that L2L has acquired Swipe Guide. So what this does for L2L, it really just sets us apart as the premier connected workforce platform, because now what we've done with Swipe Guide is add in the capability to just make it easier for your folks to understand their standards, to go in and help build those standards and have access to those standards in a much more user-friendly format, and be able to access those at any point in time out on the shop floor. Swipe Guide's a great tool. We're glad to have that technology and have those people with us. And so big announcement from L2L is that we've acquired Swipe Guide. Want to introduce our topic today, and Yanni has already done that, is creating a culture of communication and improvement. And the reason why we're talking about that is because in 2023, we did a report where we talk about the state of digital transformation and the experience of frontline workers in that process. And one of the things that we heard out of that report in 2023 was is that that technologies really do help with productivity and efficiency and morale on the factory floor. So we kind of took that thought process and then put that into our 2024 questions, and we went out and talked to about 600 plus manufacturing folks. Did some work with a marketing partner here, and we did that across all levels of manufacturing. We talked to the factory people, we talked to leadership, we talked to people in IT, we talked to all of those folks. And really, there were some things that came out of this report that really made a big difference and really kind of was eye-opening for us. And so we want to talk a little bit about those today. And we're going to really kind of all of this really kind of fits in and falls in on the ongoing labor crisis. Now, we don't call it a labor shortage because there is much more that goes with that when it comes to the crisis, because we're having a problem with retention. We're having a problem with upskilling folks. We're having a problem with people onboarding. Not only do we have a problem with finding people to get into manufacturing, but we have a problem with all of that other stuff. And so we want to talk about those today, and then talk about how digital technology kind of fits in with that. And the person that I have here today, I'm really excited to talk with Joe Resko. Joe is the vice president of operations at Worthington Enterprises now, right? Joe, it's not Worthington Industries anymore.
That's right.
They just went through an exciting split. They're growing like crazy as well. And I will tell you that I've worked with Joe. I think we talked about, what was it, Joe, 6 years or
About
so,
6 years,
6 or
Eric.
7 years.
Yeah.
We've been
Yes,
working
sir.
with Worthington.
Yep.
Have been very, very successful in implementing connected workforce technology, L2L's connected workforce technology on their shop floor. They are one of our premier clients when it comes to the way that they use the technology and what they've accomplished with that technology. And then, we're not going to get too much into it because we could do a whole podcast, but Joe and I are outdoorsmen, and so we kind of really kind of click, and he's been really kind of out front leading this charge, and in really empowering his folks to use new digital technology to kind of solve some of the things that we're going to deal with today. So, man, Joe, welcome to the webinar today. I'm excited to have you. I'm excited to talk about some of these topics, and yeah, just excited to have you.
Awesome, Eric. Well, first off, Yanni, Eric, thank you guys. Thanks for having me today, and ultimately some great discussions. Great job in the acquisition of Swipe Guide, Eric.
Thank you.
A very, very good opportunity for you and the team to continue your growth, and for sure the support that I know that you guys crave to give the manufacturers. So excellent work there, guys. And again, thanks for having me today.
Yeah, excited to have you. I want to start off a little bit just before we dive into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about today on the webinar.
Sure.
Let's talk about Joe Resko a little bit. I know your history a little bit from plant manager kind of on. We always like to kind of put a little bona fides into this. Why is Joe on the call today? Tell us a little bit about how you got to where you're at, and kind of the start of the career there.
Excellent, Eric. Sure. Well, hopefully I don't bore anybody, but born and raised in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So go Steelers, who ever have the fans out there. We'll start with that, Eric. No, I had the ability to start with one of our joint venture companies 30 years ago in our manufacturing space. So we have a robust manufacturing operations program. So somebody that has a desire to want to really learn from the ground up inside of our operations, this program is catered towards that. You physically spend time on our shop floors dealing with true everyday problems, the things that make or break, the daily operation for the day. and really, really root and drive that towards safety first. That was one of the first things with the business that I had learned. I had the ability to progress through that organization for about 16 years of my career, and really had the opportunity to learn from the ground up, which, part of what I'm sure we'll talk about is really what I found as the most fruitful pieces, where, you have to understand what you're trying to manage in order to be successful in that. And there's many ways to do that. As I grew through, our Dietrich Metal Framing was the company's name. We were based out of Pittsburgh, but had 19 facilities across the, I'm sorry, yeah, 19 facilities across the US, and we built 4 in Canada. So bigger organization, lots of individuals, great mindsets, team driven, all the things that you want. We were purchased at that point by Worthington, and I should back up, in 96. So started in 94, they were purchased in 96 by Worthington Industries, which is how I joined the family here at Worthington.
Good.
Been a great business. I had the ability to work in all of our Worthington industry companies, mostly all in operations, and really from foundation or ground up, which for me, selfishly, has been the best way to lead. Is being able to see and feel that. Traveled and moved a bunch, and today, I'm with our cylinders division, which is Worthington Enterprises. We went through a major reorg, I should say, our company split in a good way. We pushed our Worthington Steel team as well as our Worthington cylinders or enterprises. I know there's some of our facilities in our joint ventures, our Wave division, which is a great business as well. Had the ability to learn a lot about international business there, and just really work with a pristine organization and people there. Eric, just quickly, one of the things for me is the people. And when I say that, I don't necessarily mean the C-suite. I necessarily mean the folks that are in our business, and keeping those C-suite, myself, employed in some respects.
Right. And I think we're definitely going to talk about that a little bit. And I always make this point when I'm talking with folks at your level within manufacturing, and I'm more or less reaching out and talking to the folks that are out there listening, who are maybe frontline workers or supervisors or even managers, that manufacturing is a career path that you can take. Everybody who's a VP of operations started on the floor somewhere down the line. And that learning and that constant learning throughout the years is really how you get to be a Joe Resko these days. Is, nobody's going to plug you into the VP of operations at 23, 24. Right. You got to learn the ropes. And if you do, man, it's so rewarding to work with people and watch things grow and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about kind of your philosophy. Every leader has a philosophy of how, and I know your philosophy is deeply rooted in the Worthington philosophy, because you and I have talked about this before, but tell us a little bit about your philosophy of how you approach people, and how do you deal with folks on the shop floor, and just that general philosophy from Worthington and from yourself that you live by on a day-to-day basis.
No, that's great, Eric. And honestly, it's the foundation. All right. It's our foundation, not only at work, but at home. For me personally, if I were to try to sum that up into a few words, it's keeping it simple. It really is. I'm not a title person personally. I don't really care to have a title. And I think I, portray that and show folks that just in the way that we present ideas, and then keeping things simple, super engaged with folks, not only at our shop floor, but also in personal lives. There's a lot of things that we do to help support people outside of work as well. So, I believe that creating that atmosphere where it isn't a higher level manager talking to a person that may have just started tomorrow, today or tomorrow, and then listening. I can't tell you how important it is to listen and respond. For me personally, I've had a few mentors. One that I could tell you always told me, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right?
Yeah, right.
And then delivering upon that, right? When you when I or one of our managers commit to some sort of action, it's expected that that action is resolved, whether good and or bad. So, I know it's probably cliche-ish to some degree, but honestly, the keeping it simple, keeping conversations, and truly caring about people and what they do, is been huge for me. Also just sidebar to that is really just helping people in their careers. Everybody may not want to move to the next level or this level or that level, but just really understanding and helping marry the needs of the company with the needs of the employees, and probably role reverse, the needs of the employees and the needs of the company.
Yeah, totally agree. And I know that about you, and that's why I asked that question, because I think it's just important that everybody hear that's how, from a leadership standpoint, that's the foundation, right? That's really your kind of foundational thought process. I put up on the screen here a chart that I've been using lately from the Federal Reserve economic data. So this is right from the government, and this is the alarming thing for me in manufacturing, is that what we can see is that manufacturing has really stagnated when it comes to the output per hour by employee. And so we've got to start thinking differently. We got to start doing things differently. And I know you guys are doing that at Worthington and have been, and we've made some great strides and have some great metrics to show the improvements that you guys have made in each and every one of your plants. And so this is going to be kind of my basis of our discussion today, is to talk about how do we make a change, or how are you guys approaching this so that you are constantly getting better using communication. We did this report, we found some stuff in these reports, and let's talk a little bit about the things in this report that we found. And one of them was that 45% of the people we talked to say that they're struggling to communicate with workers on different shifts. 35% of the folks we talked to said that they're struggling to communicate with people in other departments. And then 29% of those folks said that they're struggling even to communicate with management. So talk a little bit about how you are approaching this. And we don't necessarily have to talk about every single one of those
Yeah.
topic points, but communication is such an important part of manufacturing. We always will struggle with communication in manufacturing. So talk a little bit about that approach. How are you trying to overcome some of these problems at Worthington when it comes to the communication?
Yeah, that's great, Eric. I will root it to really in the pre-employments and during the hiring process, right? We really do a deep dive into understanding how to marry folks up to different opportunities within inside the business. And then again, I'll use the listening principle. We listen, we understand, one, where they've come from, two, what it is that they feel is successful, would be success for them. We really empower our people. And what I mean by that is, and again, I'm the tools such as L2L, the ability to use that platform, that technology to share information. I think there was some conversation, or in the report somewhere, Eric, I had read shift to shift, or supervisor off a third shift to first shift. Sometimes that communication, or we struggled with just connecting those folks. Sometimes they've
Right.
been there for 10 or 12 hours, and things happen at home. So having some tools in place to where it would be a common place to go look at and or to give feedback. One of the
Mm.
other things that we've really pushed hard, and I've got to give a lot of credit to my teams, is on the communication side, not just telling the employees or a supplier or a customer, yes, right? There's opportunities where we have to explain why we're doing what we're doing, and taking that
Right.
extra 2 or 3 minutes to explain to somebody that. I caution our team a lot, if there's an idea from specifically our shop floor, and that idea may or may not be something that we're going to pursue, make sure we're going back and having that conversation. because what happens is people will eliminate giving you those ideas. And again, we've used our tools to get there. We've used tools to make sure that we understand what the needs and wants are. We have what I'll call employee councils. Our employee councils inside of our business act as direct folks in between the businesses to share ideas, to deliver messages, so everybody feels like they have a voice and it's not a top-down driven organization. As a matter of fact, our teams, we like the bottom-up organization, right? So such things and tools that we have in place and way we're, root cause problem solving, making people feel empowered for what they're doing, not that they're there for 8 or 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever the day hours are, to push a button and go. So, and then the last one, Eric, on communication that I also think is very, very big is recognition. We do a really good job, could always be better, at recognizing our employees for the things that they are doing. So that type of recognition becomes a really positive piece of communication that I have found not only helps attract, but most importantly, as I know we're struggling, is even retaining employees, right?
Yeah.
I don't feel our employees will run down to the next site for 50 cents or even $1 at times. I feel like the package that we have and their ability to improve their own standards is something that I think helps us from that communication side.
Yeah, I that's kind of what I've been talking about lately in all my interviews and podcasts is that 50 cents.
Yeah.
You've got to overcome that 50 cents. You've got to make a difference, right? You've got to be 50 cents more valuable to that person to stay.
Yeah.
Because if it's same, then they're going to jump for the 50 cents. But if you can make the workplace worth that, right, for them to say, no, no, this is a great place to work. I don't want to, I'm being heard. People are listening to me. I have technology and systems in place that allow me to be more effective. I like that. And so that will overcome that ability to kind of go jump and kind of move on. I always say the difference, it doesn't really matter if you're making cookies or cars. People are going to stick around for a good place to go work, right? That's what they want to do.
And the other side of that too is there are people that are wanting to try something else. And honestly, we help there. We help more than try to, but the ones that will come back to the business after trying somewhere else are ones that really help explain there's things out there, and it's not just that 50 cents. We talk about a hidden paycheck a lot, right? What are the things outside of your traditional hourly or your salary that are making you happy? Because at the end of the day, we want people to be happy. We want work-life balance is important. And then ultimately have fun, right? That's a place where we really try to spend a lot of time.
Yeah. I think you're doing a really good job. If anybody in Ohio is listening or anywhere around the world, well, they're going to want to come work for Worthington. So that's definitely something there.
Thank you.
Yeah. One of the things that we heard in the report is that folks feel like they're not visible or that they're kind of left out of the conversation, right? 67% of them say, that the leadership really rarely has visibility to what's really going on the shop floor. And then 69% of those folks often talk about where they're not consulted when decisions are made of what's going on within the factory. They're not consulted because they have this knowledge and nobody walks out and says, what do you think? Tell us a little bit of how, and I want to go from an L2L side, from a technology side. How has that kind of helped solve that problem, or what are you doing to kind of help solve this issue of people just not being heard? You talked about employee councils. That's a great way.
Sure.
And I know you're very effective with that, but talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no worries. MBWA, right? Managed by walking around is an acronym that we use, and I'm mostly speaking towards myself, ops managers, our operations managers that really run our facilities, very, very engaged. They from top down You'll very rarely find an ops manager within our system that has a office that they set in and really don't have that interaction. Um,
Right.
and even I'll tell you where, the programming and the digital piece of L2L has created such an atmosphere where, for
Mm.
us, it's now truths, right? We're understanding if somebody has an issue, and I'm more specifically talking about equipment or something goes down, the ability now to not just find my supervisor, go over and he may or she may be tied up with something else. And then I'm kind of feel like I'm in line to wait for potentially
Right.
maintenance to come fix my problem because we believe, Worthington Enterprises believes employees come to work to want to do a good job. I don't
Yep.
believe we have a population of individuals that don't want to come in and make their day easy. So as I get into the technology and the opportunities to employ hey, this is wrong with my equipment. Here's what happened. Here's when it happened. This has happened. I can go through a bunch of the details. Now the persons that are able to come fix that problem as soon as possible are able to gauge that, which
Yep.
ultimately keeps our employees happy because they're not coming to work and frustrated over the car won't start. Think about you go out in the morning, your car doesn't start. That doesn't set your day off very well. So an employee coming to work in one of our factories and they push that button in the morning, it doesn't start the day very well.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
Eric, that type of communication, that type of technology that's out there has been really rewarding for us. The other piece of that is we have really done a good job, and we'll continue to drive down the from the management team who's making the calls, right? So, the employees that are running, said piece of equipment now know a whole lot more and understand that thing a whole lot more than I do sitting at a desk in Columbus, Ohio, or in any one of our factories, right? So I believe that we continue to create a culture where employees are empowered to make decisions and not just the decision of I clock in and I clock out. They're part of our capital appropriation requests. They're part of our new product development. They're part of our technology. And that is one where I've heard a lot of feedback from the employees of, didn't have that at my last job. So for
Right.
me, that's part of that 50 cent that I want to keep putting in the bank and
Mm.
continue to grow that across our world, basically across our global operations.
Yeah. Totally true. And I think, we've talked about the one thing about even in the L2L platform is that you are able, if a worker puts in something in a dispatch, then that changes the metrics that you, the vice
Yes.
president of operations, are looking at every day. So everybody has visibility to the exact same stuff. And so it just makes it all that much more
And,
valuable to the whole organization.
yeah, and Eric, and this just because of our relationship, but the amount of information now that we have been able to
Mm,
attain,
mm,
retain, and attract through our our L2L data. Obviously we have multiple discussions globally with our ops leaders, and when you sit in my shoes and you listen to the teams, the plants, the different areas that are now referring back to the data or the process or how they're using L2L in order to achieve goals that they have. It's
right.
been tremendous. We do a lot at the beginning of our fiscal year to set up what we call, our goals or vital fews. And a lot of those vital fews we will share across our network just because we believe in trust in the data, and it has made us better. And again, thank you for the reference. We enjoy seeing the opportunities to get better and
Yeah.
also identify where there's problems a lot quicker than what we had in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we've talked about these topics as we're going on here, but just that what we found is that people in our conversations and in our data, people were feeling overlooked. They're feeling excluded from important conversations, and people like to be part of the decision making process. They like to be heard, and they like to be in the decisions. And I know you guys, um, really do tap into that and try to get people's understanding. But I think this last point, this 45% of the people that we talk to don't have access to the data to make their point. I thought that was totally interesting, that people are just frustrated, like, hey, I have a point of view here, but I don't have access to anything that I can use to back up the fact that I have an idea that, i.e., is going to make this machine run better, or is going to make the product more better quality, or a safer work environment. I don't have the data to back that up in order to go to somebody and make my point. So I thought that was a crazy cool insight. Talk a little bit about how much your people are now have access to that data and can make those decisions right at the shop floor.
So no, great point. There's as a piece of equipment that's a nagging piece of equipment, same operator, let's say 10 years has been on the piece of equipment. Right. And they continually say, I have this problem. I have this problem. They tell 3 people, I have this problem. I have this problem. Well, today, which obviously we have continued to grow towards, now I know what shift, what employee, what time, what problem, the history of those problems,
how many times,
the fixes, right? The fixes that we've put in place, who did that? So now not only may I have that problem in one of our facilities, there may be the same problem across the globe,
right?
That we've now have the data that we can share. So it really gives, and for us, again, for our folks that may or may not be on the phone here, but we don't, if it's not an L2L, it didn't happen. It's kind of the some of our
right.
folks have coined.
Yes.
So and I mean that from a standpoint of I also believe that gives all of our employees the same place to enter the data in the same fashion, that gets the same output, that now we can talk about the same sheet of music. Also helps from a language standpoint, Eric. So
right.
Great opportunities there when we are able to dial into that as well. So data is king for us. And again, we're still on our journey. Trust me, there's every day. I have an unbelievably great team. Some are on the call here, but we have folks that make my day and my job very easy when it comes to these things. The tools that they've found and employ, for us, and Eric, this as well, constantly. When I see our plants asking for more, and it's not the operations manager, it could be somebody who has only been with us a year or so. I know things are working and they're seeing results from that. So it's super important.
If you are not stretching and solving the problems, that's what a company does, is that you solve problems to get better. That's why we're all here, right? And so if you're not stretching and solving problems, then you're not getting better. So that chart that we showed at the beginning of the webinar, it's going to stay flat because you're constantly worried about not having to solve problems. So that's a problem in and of itself. So that's awesome. So just kind of wrap up here a little bit, some of the actions that we kind of have taken out of this and in discussions that we have and kind of what we see here and would like to get your thoughts on some of these is that, what we didn't really need to do is prioritize the needs of the frontline employees. We've got, and we've heard you say this, digitize that communication process so that people know where to go. And we call it the single source of truth, right? Everybody can go in and get that information the same way. Include people in that decision-making process. I've heard you talk about that. And then one of the things that I loved about working with Worthington is that you guys are just really, on your front foot when it comes to being proactive in this digital transformation initiative. And the team that I worked with to help implement L2L at Worthington is just great and continues to be great. And I know some of them are on the call, and I'm grateful that they've become really good friends of mine and enjoy being around them. But yeah, just being proactive in that digital transformation thought process. And then just always, and this is, I think, where I really kind of bring you in, just keeping a pulse on everybody's overall workplace experience and wanting to make sure that things are good and working and still focused on the goal, right?
No, that's exactly right. And again, I even extend that to I think the personal time or the home life. Um, Hopefully we make that better when people do have a good day at work and they're able to go home. And we want folks to spend time with their families and their kids. And again, by and what we've seen is by some of the results that we've gotten, we're able to fix some of those daily nags that are
Yeah.
creating the opportunity for people to want to come back in tomorrow or, extend their career another 5 years. So those types of things. But again, Eric, I think all these are definitely, I've stated a lot of these today in our own facilities, but listening with the intent to help employees continue to grow or to continue down the path of that they find as success is probably one of the most important things. And the tools that we're giving each of us in order to win every day, will continue to do. We love being proactive on the digital side. We're not done, as you know. I've got a great team, and we have a great team of employees that will continue to push, me and the rest of the organization. So yeah, we want to continue to support our employees to the best we possibly can. And one of our tenets of our philosophy, which Eric, is people are our most important asset, and
Yeah.
we believe in that in everything we do.
Yeah, I agree. If you're on the phone today and you're listening, or if you're on the webinar, um, everything that we've talked about here with Joe, let us show you how L2L can help with the stuff that we're dealing with right now, and everybody's dealing with at the organization level, and all this stuff that Joe just talked about. And so what I want to do now is, I see Yanni jump back on here. Yanni, have we got any questions that rolled in here while we're doing that we can ask Joe, or just kind of in general discussion?
We do. Joe, I've got an interesting question that came in, that I'll direct to you first. This person has employees that come to him with ideas that he knows are not doable or necessarily fit in with their company's direction. How do you keep them motivated and at the same time tell them their idea might not be implemented?
No, that's a great question, and obviously very difficult at times. I feel within our organization, we do a lot of sharing up front of our strategic vision. So from a standpoint of maybe setting the stage with each of our employees of where the business is going may help, with some of the suggestions that might not be viewed as part of that strategy going forward. If the employees know what the strategy is, they may be more in tune to focusing towards that goal together, and maybe that eliminates some of that. The second part of that, Yanni, that I would answer is just being upfront and honest. Hey, we're not going to do this because, whatever that because is, it's so much easier to be open and transparent with any level of an employee within an organization than try to, tell one hand one thing and one hand the other thing. So, if that helps the questionnaire, I believe that's personally how I live, and most of us live here at Worthington Enterprises.
Yeah, totally. I agree with that totally. Great. Yanni, anything else there?
No, I think that's it. Honestly, that was an amazing discussion, you guys. I feel like you were answering questions as they were coming in.
Right.
Awesome.
Right. Right.
Well, thank you guys.
Well, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Joe, thank you very much. And let's just, you and I will continue the discussion about when we're going to get standing in a river someplace and do a little fly fishing.
Let's
or
go
do a little
fishing, Eric.
fishing.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Everybody who knows on my podcast, on the Manufacturing Stream podcast, you can go follow us on there. We talk a lot about fishing on there as well. We try to talk about manufacturing, but we get a little sidetracked every once in a while. So
gotta have fun. Like I said,
yeah,
you
that's
gotta have
exactly
fun.
right. It's
So,
exactly right. So
Eric, I just been closing from my end, and I'll speak for Worthington Enterprises. Thank you and your team again. Really, really appreciate working with you all. When you talk about an ease and you talk about seeing we present problems that we may not know answers to, but I can tell you we come out of those in a very good spot. Even some of the things that you guys have helped us uncover, really, really has been successful and continues to work through it. So I look for many more years of us to work together. And I know that my team really enjoys the L2L organization. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we love Worthington. We love everything you guys are doing. We point to you all the time when it comes to how it's done, and people want examples. You guys know this. We're constantly asking you if people can come in and see your plans.
That's okay.
We love to show you guys off. So definitely. So, all right. Well, thanks for joining us today, Joe, man. I appreciate you being here. And thanks everybody. Thanks for joining us on the webinar, and we will see you next time. Go to L2L.com, check things out, and hopefully we'll show you everything that we can do, and you can kind of get where Worthington's at today. So thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
All right. Bye-bye. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye. All right. So thanks for joining us. That was amazing, right? Joe's a good dude. I like Joe a lot. He and I have worked together for quite a while now, and he's doing a great job with Worthington. Great insight, great approach to how you run an organization. So thanks for joining us here on the Manufacturing Stream podcast. Again, I'm Eric Whitley, your host. Please go follow us on L2L.com. Go check out all the cool things that we got going on. There's some amazing things that we can do to help your organizations. So I hope you at least, do a little research. Go check out the whole connected worker platform space is just blowing up right now. I just read an article this morning where the connected worker was mentioned. And so it really is becoming quite and kind of the next revolution for the manufacturing floor. So again, the Manufacturing Stream podcast brought to you by L2L. Thanks, and we'll see you guys next time.